Everybody, it's me. I am back again for another video. Today we are going to be discussing the day 4 through 8 outlook, as well as the day 2 outlook on the Storm Prediction Center. I will also be using WeatherWise as well to help identify some cities that are in these risk zones, because not all cities on the Storm Prediction Center's main page are delineated, and I don't want to shy away any cities. I want everybody to know that they're all included in this risk together. Plus, it's very important for dissemination purposes. Anyways, let's go back to the Storm Prediction Center main page. Now, again, I will say this basically every single video. I do have a playlist of these videos. It's like the Storm Prediction Center forecast discussion videos or something like that. It's pretty obvious what the playlist is and what it looks like. But the Storm Prediction Center is a subcategory, a company affiliate of the National Weather Service, and they predict thunderstorms, storm damage, potential hazards, etc., etc. And they're very, very useful. They're necessary for uh, forecasting thunderstorms and severe weather hazards. Um, so yeah, let's get into it. So you can see here, there is a table, right? First, we have hazard, and then severe and fire. Now, if you didn't know this, the Storm Prediction Center also does fire weather risks, and they also can track fire, because that can technically be considered severe weather, even though it's not necessarily considered weather. It's just a phenomena that happens, uh, and it's a very unfortunate phenomena. But anyway, I digress. So, severe and fire. Now, we're not really going to look at fire, it's just severe. If you want me to start to make fire content, I will, but it probably will be very rare. So, today is Wednesday, April 8th. We consider this day 1 because the Storm Prediction Center has a day 1 through day 8 forecasting system. Today is day 1. What the date is day 1, the first day, day 1. Then you move over to Thursday, day 2, and that's April 9th. Then you move over to Friday, April 10th, that's day 3. Then you move over to Saturday, day 4, that's April 11th. You move over to Sunday, April 12th, that's day 5. Then you move over to Monday, April 13th, that's day 6. Then you move over to Tuesday, April 14th, and that's day 7. And then you move over to Wednesday, April 15th, and that is day 8. Now, the Storm Prediction Center has a different-ish forecasting when it's days 4 through 8 versus 1 through 3. It's kind of different, but not really. You'll see what I'm talking about in a moment. However, let's get into severe weather prognosticating and discussions. So, as you can see, we have multiple days of severe weather. Today, there is a marginal risk of severe weather. I've covered the previous 0 to 5, 0 to 5 categorical scale that the Storm Prediction Center implements. I covered that in the last video, so if you want to watch that, link will be in the description below. Then tomorrow we have a slight risk, and so I'm going to be covering tomorrow's risk of severe weather because it can be pretty important. Friday's severe weather risk is a marginal risk, and then from Saturday all the way to Tuesday, we have 15% risks of severe weather, which is the equivalent of a slight risk. So there are slight risks all across the board, and I'm not surprised because severe weather is ramping up. Every single day that passes, severe weather chances will ramp up until, fall and winter when severe weather starts to decline and wintry weather starts to uh, take the severe weather's place. So let's go over tomorrow's risk of severe weather. We have a slight risk of severe weather. As you can see, the risk level is thunderstorms in the light green, marginal in the dark green with a 1, slight risk in the yellow with a 2, enhanced risk in the orange with a 3, moderate in the red with a 4, and high in the pink with a 5. The severity increases the further you go up. So if you're under a light green risk or a general thunderstorm risk, it's not really going to be super horrible. But if you're under a let's say slight risk, then you definitely have a risk, a tangible risk of severe weather that you do need to pay attention to. And then if you go up even more to let's say moderate, then you could be screwed big time as multiple tornadoes that can be very strong, uh, large damaging winds and large damaging hail can be expected in a moderate risk. And then the high risk is just like an apocalyptic severe weather event. So you never want a high risk to be issued, and if it's issued, then you gotta prepare. Ryan Hall says, I believe, prepare for the best, but expect the worst. That's what everybody needs to do. Prepare for the best, but expect the worst, especially in high risk scenarios. But anyway, so let's get into this day 2 convective outlook that was issued at 12:20 p.m. Central Daylight Time. As you can see here, we have a level 2 out of 5 slight risk for northeastern and north central Kansas into extreme southeastern portions of Nebraska and extreme northwestern portions of Missouri. Then we have a marginal risk that goes all the way from northern and western Missouri to southwestern Iowa to south central and southeastern Nebraska, eastern Kansas to central Kansas to western and southwestern Kansas, all the way down into the extreme portions of southeastern Colorado into the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles. And then the general thunderstorm risk extends from Pennsylvania to Texas and also includes Florida and Nevada, Idaho, Oregon, and California. The general thunderstorm risk we don't really need to be worried about because the littlest of severe weather will occur there tomorrow. Now, some cities that are in the slight risk for tomorrow include Topeka, Kansas, St. Joseph, Missouri, Salina, I'm going to say Salina, Kansas, Manhattan, Kansas, and Junction City, Kansas. Then, some cities in the marginal risk, you could see day 2 risk, slight and marginal, the area in which the risks take up, the population from 2020, and then some larger population centers in the risk area. That's with every severe weather outlook. And then you have the marginal risk for tomorrow, and some cities that it takes up are Kansas City, Missouri, Lincoln, Nebraska, Amarillo, Texas, Overland Park, Kansas, and Kansas City, Kansas. Now, if you go over to weather-wise, you go to day 2. First, you got to put on outlooks. Outlooks. I have composite radar on as well, but just go to outlooks, and then turn on day 2, for the categorical outlook, you could see on WeatherWise all the cities. So some cities, I'm not going to name all of them, but some cities that are in the path include Westmoreland, Kansas, Minneapolis, Kansas, Abilene, Kansas, Mankato, Kansas. Sorry if I'm butchering the pronunciation of the names. It's just that I don't know, these names are just a little bit weird, and I don't expect them. St. Joseph, Missouri, Oregon, Missouri, Falls City, Nebraska, Auburn, Nebraska, and Beatrice, Nebraska. Now, the marginal risk is from Kirksville, Missouri, and extends all the way into Kansas City, Olathe, Lawrence, Overland Park. I said that, but I'm just saying it again. Emporia, Kansas, Hayes, Kansas, Scott City, Kansas, all the way down into Elkhart, Kansas, Boise City, Oklahoma, Stratford, Texas, Dumas, Texas, Amarillo, Texas, Canyon, and Hereford, Texas. So, let me see, pull up my pencil, my drawing measure here. That was terrible. Wonderful. So, from northern and northeastern Kansas into extreme portions of southeastern Nebraska and northwestern Missouri is where the slight risk originates. And then it goes all the way, the marginal risk goes all the way from Iowa, southwest Iowa to northwest Missouri, southeast Nebraska, parts of central Kansas into Colorado, into the Oklahoman and Texan panhandles. So there will be a risk of severe weather for tomorrow. We are going to dive into that when we go back to the Storm Prediction Center's website now. If it wants to cooperate. There we go. So I will turn cities off. And now let's look at the tornado count. Tornado factor. Tornado, 2%. So tornado probabilities are shown here. 2%, 5%, 10%, 15%, 30%, 45%, and 60%. And there are conditional intensity groups 1, 2, and 3. Conditional intensity groups are essentially just grouping severe weather probabilities together, and it essentially shows the amount of severity that a specific hazard can have. In this case, tornadoes, because there's a difference between probability and intensity. Intensity is obviously how intense something can get. But the probability in this instance is the probability that a severe weather occurrence can happen. So if there's a, I don't know, let's say 30% probability that a tornado can spawn, that means that there, within a given point, 25 miles of a given point, there will be a 30% chance, excuse me, that a tornado will spawn. That's essentially how that works. So we have a 2% tornado risk for St. Joseph, Missouri, and Beatrice, Nebraska. Now, I'm not really going to dive into it on WeatherWise because I will be reserving days 4 through 8 on WeatherWise. Now, the wind risk, it's up there. So this is essentially what is precipitating the, perpetuating the 15%, not the 15%, but the slight risk of severe weather for tomorrow, Thursday, April 9th. This is what's perpetuating the slight risk. Wind. The wind is not expected to be super strong. It's just there is expected to be an elevated probability of wind. Now, Topeka, Kansas, St. Joseph, Missouri, Salina, Manhattan, and Junction City, Kansas, are in this risk, along with, or sorry, not along with, because Topeka, St. Joseph, Salina, Manhattan, and Junction City are in the slight risk. However, in the marginal risk, which is considered the 5%, Kansas City, Lincoln, Amarillo, Overland Park, and Kansas City, Kansas are in the marginal risk. And then we go over to the hail. Now, you see this little hatching region, that little stippled area. That's what Convective Chronicles likes to call it, the stippled area. Hatched, stippled, they are kind of synonymous, I believe. The area that inhibits or inhabits the 5% and 15% hail risks has a stippled region. It's the black line with the black outline, polygon, whatever, with dashes. That represents a CIG, conditional intensity group number 1. That means that the hail that is expected to form has some sort of severity to it, and that's not great. That's because you want to save your roofs and cars and things like that. So, I mean, I'm not saying that total destruction will emanate from these thunderstorms tomorrow. It's just that you need to be prepared for anything. Anything. So, cool. All right, where am I going with this? So the 15% risk for hail is compared to the wind shrunk a little less. So is the 5%. But it accompanies a severe threat, and it's for vastly the same regions, or roughly the same regions, excuse me, for St. Joseph, Manhattan, and Beatrice, Nebraska, in the 15% hail risk, and then in the 5% hail risk, it's the same cities I've mentioned earlier. And then in the SIG 1, if you could see it, CIG 1, some larger population centers in the risk area are Hays, Kansas, and Beatrice, Nebraska. All right, so enough with the diagrams here. Let's get into the actual description. So, summary. Area of hail and strong wind gusts are expected Thursday afternoon and evening in parts of the lower to mid-Missouri Valley westward into Kansas. Locally, very large hail is possible. Excuse me. Synopsis. An area of cyclonic flow aloft will exist from central into eastern Canada with various waves rotating from the northern plains across the Great Lakes. The southern periphery of the stronger winds aloft will extend across much of the northern plains in the Midwest, with 30-knot 500 millibar winds as far south as northern Kansas and Missouri. At the surface, a warm front will lift north across northern Kansas and Missouri during the day, with 50-degree dew points spreading north with gusty south winds. As a shortwave disturbance moves into the northern plains late, a surge of high pressure will push this boundary south as a cold front after 0Z, extending from southwest Kansas into central Missouri and Illinois by 12Z Friday. Scattered strong to severe thunderstorms will be most likely along this east to west front, with more isolated activity from western Kansas into the Texas Panhandle along a dry line. Central Plains. Storms are expected to develop relatively early, perhaps around 18Z or 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central, over northeast Kansas into southeast Nebraska, as warm and moistening air from the south interacts with the warm front. Strong heating south of the boundary will result in steep low-level lapse rates, while the increasing theta E rises near the boundary and beneath cold mid-level temperatures. The cold profiles aloft, along with 40 knots of effective deep layer shear, will favor hail production, with perhaps isolated very large hail. As heating peaks during the late afternoon, additional cells are expected, extending southwestward into north-central Kansas. Though dew points will only be in the 50s, Slow-moving supercells will be possible again with very large hail. With west to northwest winds aloft, all of these storms may eventually merge into the evening, propagating southeastward across much of eastern Kansas into northwest Missouri. The warm boundary layer combined with cold downdraft material will likely support scattered, damaging gusts. Sorry I didn't go over some of the terms, but I'm trying to kind of rush here a little bit to record this because I still have to do days 4, 5, 6, and 7 because all those apparently have severe weather risks. It's just apocalyptic. Well, I mean, that's a huge overstatement. It's not necessarily apocalyptic so far. It's just there's look at this. Severe, 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 severe. Look at all of that. I have to cover all that, and I'm gonna do that right now. So, day 4 looks very similar all the to the areas that we've seen before. Day 4, which is Saturday, it remains unchanging basically. Uh, Day 4 looks very, very unchanging from the extreme eastern and southeastern New Mexico into central and west Texas, into the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles. And then we go over to day 5. Day 5 looks similar as well, which accompanies central Texas into central and a little bit of western Oklahoma, not really including the panhandle, and then protrudes into south central Nebraska or Kansas, excuse me. Then we go over to day 6, and day 6 is a big, big boy. Day 6 stretches from southwest Wisconsin to extreme southeast Missouri to a large portion of Iowa, central and eastern Iowa, including the southern portion of Iowa, and then western Illinois, most of Missouri, central, western, northern, and northwestern and southwestern Missouri specifically, eastern Kansas, extreme portions of southeast Nebraska, a small portion of Arkansas, northwestern Arkansas, into most of Oklahoma, the eastern, central, southern, and southeastern portions of Oklahoma, and into north central Texas, excuse me. That's day 6. Day 6 covers a lot. As you can see, 260,000 square miles are under this risk, along with 21,537,998 people. Now, obviously, that number is wrong because this is from 2020 census data, so we are closer to 2030 than we are to 2020, and the census updates population every 10 years. So, that number will definitely change in 4 years, or less than 4 years. And you think that's all? No, you got day 7. This includes an extreme southwestern Illinois into central, south central, southwestern, and southeastern Missouri. Uh, Most of Arkansas, northern, northwestern, north central, central, south central, western, and southwestern and south central Arkansas, into portions of eastern and southeastern Oklahoma, into northwestern Louisiana, and into central and eastern why do I always confuse Texas and Kansas? Eastern and central Texas. My words are flying away, never to be seen again. I don't know what is going on. Let's go back to weather-wise. Let's pop in. Yeah, this just had to refresh. Let's pop in probabilistic. Not day 3, but day 4. So day 4 accompanies Midland, Big Spring, Abilene, Lubbock, Littlefield, Plainview, Amarillo, Dumas, and Canadian, Texas, and also includes Diamond, Goodwell, Beaver, Hardisty, and Hooker, Oklahoma. Almost includes Liberal, Kansas. If you want, you could technically say it includes Southern Liberal in Kansas. So that's day 4. That's on Saturday. This is day 5. This is on Sunday. On day 5, places like New Braunfels, Austin, all the way up to Georgetown, then moving over to the west, Midland, San Angelo, Abilene, Eastland, Claiborne, and then including Fort Worth, Dallas, Arlington, Grapevine, Keller, Flower Mound, all those places near the DFW metro area, into Plano, into McKinney, into Wichita Falls, Texas, into Lawton, Oklahoma, into Walters, Oklahoma, into the Oklahoma State capital of Oklahoma City. We also have Norman and Moore in Oklahoma, Woodward, Oklahoma, Bartlesville, Tulsa, Okmulgee, Seminole, Ada, Oklahoma, Sulphur, Ardmore, Marietta, Oklahoma. They are all in the day 5 Sunday risk of severe weather. And going into Kansas, we have Wichita, Hutchinson, Newton, and Eureka, Kansas, all included in this risk of severe weather for Sunday. Into Monday, day 6, it expands out a bit. So, the DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, is included in this, so is Abilene in Texas. In Oklahoma, we have Oklahoma City, Norman, Moore, Tulsa, Okmulgee, McAlester, Tahlequah, Bartlesville, Ponca City, Chickasha, and Pauls Valley, as well as Lawton and Walters, Oklahoma. In Arkansas, Fayetteville, Bentonville, and Fort Smith, Arkansas. In Kansas, we have Topeka, Olathe, Kansas City, Kansas, Leavenworth, Manhattan, Kansas, Wichita, Howard, Independence, Columbus, Mound City, and Hutchinson, Kansas. In Missouri, we have a lot of cities. We have the Missouri State Capital, Jefferson City. We have Kansas City, Missouri, Springfield, Missouri, Jesus, that scared the absolute bejesus out of me. Carthage, Missouri, Nevada, Missouri, which is weird. They have a state name as a town or city in another state. This is kind of weird. St. Joseph, Missouri, Maryville, Kirksville, Memphis, Missouri, Troy, Marshall, and Sedalia. In Illinois, we don't really have that many cities, other than Mount Carroll, Cambridge, Galesburg, and Macomb in Illinois. In Iowa, we have Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Dubuque, Waterloo, Mason City, Fort Dodge, Red Oak, Leon, Centerville, and Burlington and Fort Madison in Iowa, as well as Davenport. In Wisconsin, we have La Crosse, Lancaster, Dodgeville, Shullsburg, and Richland Center. And in Minnesota, we don't have that many cities other than Austin, Minnesota, Spring Valley, Preston, Harmony, and Caledonia, Minnesota. Wonderful. And again, you think we're done? No, we're not, because we got day 7. Day 7 is on Tuesday's severe weather risk. Day 6 is Monday's severe weather risk. Day 7, Tuesdays. So, for day 7, we have Palestine, Texas, into the DFW Metroplex. Abilene is now no longer included in this risk. So, we have Nacogdoches, Texas, into Palestine, into Dallas and Fort Worth, into Sherman, Texas, In Oklahoma, we have Tahlequah, Okmulgee, McAllister, and Ada, Oklahoma. In the northwestern quadrant of Louisiana, we have Shreveport, Minden, and Homer, Louisiana. In Arkansas, we have a lot of cities, including Fayetteville, Pocahontas, Jonesboro, Batesville, Forest City. We have the good old city of Little Rock, Hot Springs, Pine Bluff, North Little Rock, Arkadelphia, and we also have Texarkana as well. Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana. We have the Texarkana metro area. I don't really know if you can consider that a metro area, but I am considering it a metro area because I don't know. And then in Missouri, we have Jefferson City, St. Louis, Waterloo, Farmington, Fredericktown, Lebanon, Springfield, Cassville, Forsyth, West Plains, and Poplar Bluff, Missouri. And in Illinois, we have Waterloo, Illinois, Sparta, Chester, and Millstadt. So that is the risk. Day 8, luckily we have nothing, which is great. We don't want to see a lot of severe weather. So that is that. Now I'm going to go over back to the Storm Prediction Center website. It, of course, has to refresh. And here we go. So we have a pretty boisterous, whatever you want to call it, description. So, day 4 through 8 convective outlook discussion. Saturday, day 4 to Monday, day 6. On Saturday, mid-level southwesterly flow will strengthen over the central United States as an upper-level system moves to near the west coast. A moist air mass will be in place over the southern and central plains as a low-amplitude shortwave trough moves across the region. Large-scale ascent along with warming surface temperatures will result in scattered thunderstorm development over much of West Texas Saturday afternoon. MLK, or mixed layer convective available potential energy, is expected to peak near 1000 joules per kilogram in some areas, with 0 to 6 kilometer shear being in the 30 to 40 knot range over much of the southern high plains. This should be sufficient for a severe threat, with large hail and severe wind gusts possible. From Saturday night into Sunday, strong moisture advection is forecast over the Great Plains. By Sunday afternoon, moderate instability is expected to be in place over much of this air mass. Isolated to scattered severe thunderstorms are expected throughout much of the moist sector during the afternoon and evening. Some model forecasts move a 50 to 60 knot mid-level jet through central and northeast Texas during the afternoon and evening. If this happens, a substantial severe threat will be possible from parts of central and north Texas into Oklahoma. Severe thunderstorms, including supercells with large hail, wind damage, and a tornado threat, cannot be ruled out and would be possible in areas that destabilize the most. On Monday, a moist and unstable air mass is forecast to remain from the southern plains extending north-northeastward into the upper Midwest. Strong to severe thunderstorm development will be possible over much of the instability corridor in the afternoon and evening. The greatest potential for severe thunderstorms is forecast from the southern plains north-northeastward into the lower Missouri Valley and upper Mississippi Valley, where the models develop moderate instability and have 0 to 6 kilometer shear, mostly in the 30 to 40 knot range. Severe thunderstorms with large hail, wind damage, and a tornado threat will also be possible. Tuesday, day 7, and Wednesday, day 8. The western United States trough is finally forecast to approach the southern plains on Tuesday, where a moist and unstable air mass should be in place. Some solutions suggest that a mid-level jet will move into the southern plains Tuesday afternoon, and this would create strong deep layer shear over parts of the moist sector, suggesting that a substantial severe threat will be possible. Although there is still spatial uncertainty regarding this scenario, current model forecasts would support supercells with large hail, severe wind gusts, and some tornadoes, which is not what we want to hear from the Storm Prediction Center. Alrighty, on Wednesday, a shortwave trough is forecast to move through the central states with a southwest to northeast corridor of moderate instability in place by afternoon from northeast Texas into the western Ozarks. This would be favorable for severe thunderstorms. However, at this extended range, considerable uncertainty exists concerning severe threat magnitude and spacing. That was a lot to yap about. Wow. Um, so yeah, obviously, if you would like to see the Storm Prediction Center's website yourself, go to spc.noaa.gov. That is once again spc.noaa.gov. It's also on the top center part of the screen. Uh, so, yep, that is the Storm Prediction Center's website if you ever wanted to look yourself. So be prepared for severe weather from Texas into the Oklahoma, Kansas panhandles, into the Midwest Ozarks, and into the southern and southeastern United States. I will see you everybody in the next video.